Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and unfortunately, I believe Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 has an Outriders problem, and I don't know how it solves it. Now, I want to preface this by saying I've really enjoyed my time so far with Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I've played through the campaign. I thought it was really fun and really engaging. I did also go through all of the different operations. I've tested out a bunch of the different classes and weapons. I've gone into the Eternal War mode and played some PvP as well. And overall, I think the package is a lot of fun. But it feels like the game is trying to be something of a live service game without fully committing. And that's the same issue that doomed Outriders, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because it has these end game type activities that feel repetitive after you've completed them a couple times. The loot isn't rewarding enough to keep you engaged, and long term, there's no next step after beating the operations in the case of Space Marine 2. And Outriders had this problem. It was a good game at launch. People enjoyed the campaign. They enjoyed playing with the different classes and getting to max level and all of that kind of good stuff. But as you were going through the end game, you started to see that there were limitations towards what kind of content you were getting. With Space Marine 2, you have the 6 operations. Once you've completed them all, 2 or 3 times, they really start to feel super repetitive, with the only changes being the amount of ads that you might be facing, or occasionally some extra bosses thrown in there as well. And even that can get a little bit tedious. Now, add that to the fact that there are no real rewards or exciting features once you get to max level with your class. Like, it doesn't feel like you have a place to show that off in the same way as you would a game like Destiny, for example, that has raids and dungeons and stuff. Now, I know we have a horde mode coming, but likely that's not going to be for 6 months or so, depending on how they space out these seasons. And just like with the Outriders DLC, where we got that full end game, a lot of people just did not want to come back because there was no insight to what was coming next. Now, I know we have seasons coming with Space Marine 2, and I personally will come back to check out every single one of the seasons and all the new content, and hopefully it is engaging. But the PvP is not good enough, not diverse enough to keep people playing for months and months. The operations, I feel like, are not rewarding enough for that repeated time playing to keep people engaged over the long haul. The diehards will likely max out their classes and their weapons sooner rather than later. And then with each successive season, there will be less content because you've already done the base of everything, and now everything new is completed in a short amount of time because you're already maxed out. The new operations probably won't feel as engaging. Now, there is also a new difficulty level to try out, which I think will provide some entertainment in the short term, but I just don't see playing those same activities over and over again, just adding additional difficulty levels with nothing to look forward to on top of that, as engaging enough to keep people excited. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to the horde mode. I think that could answer some of the problems at the very least, and potentially reward you with something unique that you can show off to show that you've hit certain levels of the horde mode. Maybe you can have a scoreboard that people can really try their builds out on and see how far they can go. Anything like that, I think, would go a long way. But it really does feel like these games that dip their toes in the live service, like they have servers, obviously, for PvP, they've got matchmaking for the operations, but they don't go all the way and really commit to continuous content updates in the same way that a game like Destiny, which gets a lot of flack, has. And I think that's really where I wonder what the long-term future is. There's big debates online about Borderlands 4, whether it should go live service, how they should handle that. And I don't think live service is necessary. I just think there needs to be a new reason to keep players engaged over the long term. Something that is repeatable, that is exciting to jump back in for the umpteenth time. I really feel like playing Remnant 2 and looking forward to the next DLC, that's a game that keeps me engaged for longer because there's so many secrets to find, and you have multiple ways to unlock different weapons and different items, and you have different classes you get with every single DLC. That's something that I feel like would be better served for these games. These DLC that are a little bit beefier with the content that you're getting, you get a bit more if you're not going to be live service, but there's enough there that when you jump back in, you're excited to play for an extended period of time. I saw it with The First Ascendant. I play a lot of these games, and The First Ascendant, with the new season, they split up their content, and it wasn't enough to keep people engaged when they jump back in for season 1. Whereas if they would have held off on that and brought everyone back with a bunch of new content, then you get people to stick around for a bit longer. And that's important when you need matchmaking for these games to be successful, if people want to play co-op or multiplayer. And so with Space Marine 2, I have some reservations. I am looking forward to the new content as we get it, and I just hope it doesn't get looked back on as Outriders, because I remember that game when it launched being pretty well received, and then 3 months later, everyone was done and over with the game, and they didn't want to play it anymore. And I think the era of these games capturing people's attention for 6 months when you have all these other games to play, and just having this repeatable content that really isn't super engaging or rewarding is a bygone era. That's not something that I think is sustainable going forward, and I wonder how developers are going to be able to course correct on this going forward and find content that people want to play repeatedly. You look at a game like Elden Ring, you look at a game like Baldur's Gate 3, and the replayability is in the secrets, it's in the decisions you make with the storyline, the endings. That might be the way to go. I hope more shooters try to follow that path, again, much like Remnant 2, and I think that is the way forward in order for these games to be successful, to be replayable, and to really be exciting long term, instead of having content that you don't necessarily want to grind, but almost feel obligated to, in order to get the most bang for your buck with the game, and you have like these arbitrary max levels to hit that don't feel super exciting because there's nowhere to use them. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. It's kind of a rant today a little bit, but I was thinking about this as I was playing the game, going through some operations, and just really did not feel super engaged with it. Again, this is a game I would recommend to people. You'll probably get your time and money's worth just by playing through the campaign, the 6 operations, and dabbling in a bit of the PvP. But for the long-term future, I'm a little bit more hesitant. Anyway, my name is JoPa. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. As always, have a good one. I'll catch you all later.